Gaijin just cannot seem to help themselves when it comes to adding extremely overpriced top tier premiums into War Thunder, and the newly added MiG-21 Bison is yet another example of that. For the absurd sum of $75 US, you can get your hands on this shiny new top tier premium. And honestly, as overpriced as it may be, this just might be your best bet if you're looking to grind the UK air tree. Now, the Bison is essentially a heavily modernized MiG-21 BIS that sits at a battle rating of 12.3, and is the second rank A premium aircraft to be added to War Thunder after the F-20, as if rank 7 premiums just weren't enough for this game. This aircraft used to be 11.7 before the recent battle rating changes bumped this thing up to 12.3. However, this change really won't affect this thing gameplay wise all that much, as most of the things it will be facing also got moved up in that patch, and your matchmaker will more or less be similar to what it was before. Being a 12.3 aircraft means you'll be unable to see most of the scary 13.7 Fox 3 slingers like the F-15C or F-16C or SU-27SM, with the only active radar homing missiles you'll realistically face being stuff like the AVAB Plus or F-14s or maybe an SMT in a rare 13.3 up tier. And although these aircraft can still be a pain to deal with sometimes, they're nowhere near as potent as their top tier counterparts. Now, what this does mean, however, is that you actually get a pretty decent matchmaker, as a lot of the time you'll be sucked into that 11.3 to 12.0 premium bracket, meaning you can often farm a decent amount of kills against incompetent premium players at that BR. However, it's important to note that the Bison completely depends on its missiles to get kills, meaning it requires your enemy to not know how to counter your missiles for you to do well. There is pretty much nothing you can do against a competent player who knows how to defeat your missiles, as you still are a MiG-21 BIS at 12.3 at the end of the day, and will struggle to compete with basically everything else on this BR bracket. But this is still ARB we're talking about here, and there will still be plenty of people who have absolutely zero clue of what they're doing, allowing you to still net a fair amount of kills every game, making this aircraft a decently consistent grinder. However, this plane is still fully reliant on its missiles to remain competitive at this BR, and since you only get 4 of them, this plane simply lacks that long-term game impact. Wasting a missile on this thing is basically throwing away a quarter of your entire offensive capability, which means you really need to pick your targets wisely to ensure you make the most of each one of them. It is absolutely crucial to take the time to learn when or when not to shoot off your missiles to perform well on this aircraft. Of course, this could and should be applied to any top tier jet, but it's especially important on the Bison due to your reliance on your missiles while at the same time having a very limited missile capacity. The plane itself is quite a mixed bag. In terms of flight performance, this plane is far from amazing. In short, it's a MiG-21 BIS airframe moved up an entire BR, which means you'll be completely outclassed in this regard by basically everything you see, except maybe against something like a Mirage F1C or Tornado. This plane, like every other MiG-21 in this game, bleeds away all its speed the moment it starts to turn, which make it very annoying to dodge the radar missiles that are common at this BR. Of course, this won't be an issue if you fly low to the ground, which is really what you should be doing for most of your games, as you are at a major disadvantage at altitude against stuff like F-14s. This plane is also not very fast for its BR, and you will rip your wings off around Mach 1.2 on a deck, which is a mistake that I've made more times than I should have myself. However, the weapon systems of this aircraft are really where it starts to shine. You can carry 2 R-27Rs or Ts on the inner pylons, which, although lacking the insane kinematics of the R-27ER, are still capable missiles for this BR, with 35 Gs of pull and a decent seeker head. I personally recommend carrying the radar guided R-27Rs over the Ts, as these radar missiles do come with a little bit more flexibility than their IR counterparts. However, these missiles still come with some severe limitations. The radar on this aircraft, although being a major step out from the original MiG-21 BIS, has a very narrow radar scope. What this means is they basically have to keep flying at your opponent head-on to guide in your missile, while they can begin going defensive to avoid your R-27. It doesn't help that the R-27Rs, while still being capable missiles, are inferior in a joust to something like an AIM-7F. Despite this, these are still decent missiles for this BR, and will likely be your main killing power. One thing I'd like to add is that the radar can be a bit finicky and very sensitive at times. My suggestion is to use the HMD at closer ranges, as that tends to be a bit more reliable at locking people up than the ACM mode. However, this aircraft does have one more trick up its sleeve. Its ability to carry a pair of R-73s on the outer wing pylons, combined with an HMD. This, along with the fact that the MiG-21 pulls some pretty respectable AOA, allows you to pull into someone and shoot an R-73 into them point blank before they have time to react, making this aircraft very deadly at closer ranges. These fantastic missiles are the main selling point of this aircraft, and are truly what keeps the Bison somewhat competitive at this battle rating despite its abysmal flight performance. The reality is that this is just how top tier aerobay works nowadays, where missiles and electronics determine fights rather than flight performance. and it is because of this meta that this plane is still a workable aircraft at 12.3, simply due to the fact that it carries a good radar set and competitive missiles. So, now that we know all that, would I recommend the Bison for anyone who's looking to grind the British air tree? The answer is no, absolutely not. In my opinion, no pixel plane in this game is worth $75 US, and this plane is certainly no exception. The plane itself is a fairly consistent grinder, yet at the same time it can be very frustrating to play and is overall not the most competitive aircraft at its battle rating. Its in-game presence is basically none, as it entirely relies on your enemy's willingness to die to your missiles to perform, and once you run out of said missiles, you essentially become an over-tiered MiG-21 beast with no real means of continuing the fight, unless of course you're a masochist who enjoys using the Gush 23 against radar missiles, but I digress. Furthermore, the majority of the British tree as of right now is just pure pain and really not worth grinding at the moment, as several other nations literally have flat out better versions of their aircraft. Though that could change in the near future with the addition of the Eurofighter. But with that being said, if you really want to grind the British tree for whatever reason, then picking this thing up when it goes on sale wouldn't be a bad idea, as currently this is the best premium aircraft the British tree has to offer. Granted, it's either this or suffering in the F4 junk. Overall, I didn't have a terrible time on this plane, but I didn't particularly enjoy it either. It certainly isn't worth its price tag of $75 US, as it really offers nothing special compared to other aircraft of its BR. Anyway, that's about it for me today. I really hope you found this video helpful, and I'll catch you all on the next one.